Welcome back, everyone's the Bourbon Judge. So we have 3 hot new brands. I mean, they're creating, I'm talking about a ton of buzz, like literally a ton of buzz. So I did an episode, I don't think it was like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago, talking about just like up and coming brands. But at that point in time, they were just brands that I heard of. People were telling me about them, but I never actually had their whiskey beforehand. So fast forward, some of my subscribers as well as one of my patrons sent me some different samples, so now we can actually see whether or not if the proof is truly in the pudding. But hey, before we dive into the new brands and everything and so forth, I want to give a huge shout out to my newest patrons. So number one, my good friend JP Ray, good friend Mark Emberman, Jared Thompson, Tim, hopefully Tim, I don't mess up your last name, Tim Fapiano, Brian, Alan Campbell, and Steph Franklin. So thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for supporting the Bourbon Judge. And I should say, honestly, thank you to all my other patrons as well. Each and every one of you out there, I really appreciate all the love and support. We truly, as I always say, we really are like a family. Between our patron meetups, whenever we do like distillery picks or barrel picks, I always make sure I try to bring my patrons with me, as many as I can, of course. Our contest, Discord, all the different barrel picks, like I said, we have coming up as well. So thank you again from all my patrons, as well as all my subscribers as well. Appreciate all the love and support. All right, so we have 3 different brands that I'm talking like, I mean, I've had numerous patrons, subscribers, even just friends of mine, like my local whiskey community here in Delaware. They'll reach out and they're like, Judge, have you tried X? I'm like, I have not, but I hear it's good. Have you tried Y? I have not, but I hear it's good. So we have 3 new brands that are, smaller craft distilleries, but they are really making a name for themselves. So the 3 are Driftless Glenn, Ben Holliday, and Hard Truth. Huge shout out to one of my subscribers, my buddy Morgan, as well as one of my patrons, my buddy Blake, who sent over the samples for today's episode. So thank you again, Morgan, as well as Blake. I do appreciate it. But when I was, I think about this whiskey and these different brands, I've heard from numerous people that it is really great quality whiskey. So I'm going to try to keep it high level for each one, give you like the price, what they make, where they're located, all that kind of good jazz. But most important, I'm going to give you a judgment. And as we know in this courtroom, you are innocent until you are proven guilty of either being good or being bad. So we shall see in the courtroom whether or not these whiskeys are good or bad. Fair? All right. Let's start off with, this is Driftless Glenn. So this is Driftless Glenn. This is a single barrel coming in at 122 proof, coming from Driftless Glenn. This is actually a rye. They do make a bourbon and a rye over Driftless Glenn. So Driftless Glenn, number one, they're based out of Wisconsin. So the great state of Wisconsin, started by a husband and wife. And obviously they have their team, of course, but the husband and wife combination. So Brian and Renee Bemis, husband and wife, love making whiskey, started their own distillery. I mean, gosh, what's better than that, right? Starting your own distillery with your loved one. Mrs. Judge, we got to step our game up. We have to step our game up, Mrs. Judge. But no, out of the state of Wisconsin. What's cool about Driftless Glenn, from what I've been told, again, because I haven't had a chance to buy a bottle, I haven't seen it near me, but for the most part, their whiskey is very reasonably priced. I've heard anywhere from like $40 to like $50, maybe $55. Again, every liquor store that you go to, when you're looking for certain bottles, it's always going to be different, right? However, for the most part, most of their whiskey is very reasonably priced, anywhere from $40 to $50, $55 max on average. All right, again, smaller craft distillery from Wisconsin. They produce bourbon, rye, and other spirits like brandy and so forth, but most people know them, of course, for the bourbon and the rye. But we are trying right now a single barrel coming in at 122 proof. Morgan, thanks again for the sample, my friend. All right, as you can imagine, with the cast strength single barrel rye, very spicy. But what's nice about this is not just like, I don't get a ton of like floral notes. It's mostly like mint, peppery, but with a good blend of like caramel in there as well. So I like that. I like that. It seems like it's a little bit almost sweet and spicy, at least in the nose. All right, here we go. Driftless Glenn, you are on trial. Here we go. Cheers. Oh, wow. Wow. What is this? 122 proof? Wow, that is solid. Damn. I guess I need to give a verdict, huh? Oh my goodness. Woo. This courtroom is, thus far, very pleased. Oh my goodness. Cheers again. Thanks, Morgan. Wow. That was a great representation of the nose matching the palate and the finish. At 122 proof, I would have expected a little bit more of a kick. That went down way too nice for 122 proof. It was just very elegant, very vibrant. Everything in the nose, the caramel with the mint and the pepper blended in. It like folded in so well. And that was such a great experience. So you might ask, Judge, what is the verdict? Obviously, that is a buy. That is damn good. That's like on the level where I think I actually want to do even like a barrel pick with Driftless Glenn. That's amazing. That rye whiskey is amazing. I need to get a little bit more. Oh my gosh. Woo! Wow. That truly is special. Oh man. All right, Driftless Glenn. 1 for 1 so far. Now I see what all the hype is about for this craft distillery. Driftless Glenn, you are doing a great job with your whiskeys. Wow. And that is like on a whole nother level. I mean, that's pretty good. Oh my goodness. Okay. We are now moving over to Ben Holliday. So Ben Holliday is whiskey coming from the great state of Missouri. So Ben Holliday, in essence, wow, this nose. Aren't you just different? Goodness gracious. So Ben Holliday itself, the gentleman, he actually technically, this distillery dates back to like the 1850s. Ben Holliday was actually technically born and raised in Kentucky, but moved over to Missouri where he made a name for himself, became famous, obviously back in the 1800s and so forth. And like many other distilleries during that time, it went through like various different ownership groups and so forth to the current day. Today's ownership team obviously is a different group of individuals, obviously not, still the Holliday family, if you will. But this is whiskey coming from the state of Missouri. And what's unique about them, wow, the nose itself is very unique. What's unique is that they make two things. They make a bourbon and a soft wheated bourbon. Both of them are bottled in bond and both 6 years. But that's all they make as of right now. So they don't have any, there's no rye, there's no cask strength version, there's no small batch. I mean, they truly are bottled in bond. One a straight bourbon and the other one is a soft wheated bourbon. So they make two different ones. Both of those aged 6 years, and both of those, obviously, of course, aged 6 years, bottled in bond. So it has to be, of course, 100 proof. And what's nice about both of those as well is that they're both about $60 from an MSRP standpoint. Maybe a couple of dollars less or more depending on where you find it, the state, and so forth. But they're about $60 in that price range. The one that we're trying today, though, let's see if this is... Okay, so this is not the wheated one. So this is the standard Ben Holliday, Missouri, bottled in bond, 100 proof, aged 6 years. Again, Morgan, thank you for the sample, my friend. Really do appreciate it. So the nose on this... Again, this is the regular bourbon, not the wheated one. The nose has a ton of like, in the background, almost like which is very interesting. Is it almost like a raspberry, kind of a blackberry kind of a note? Very much like raspberry, blackberries. Very fruit forward in the nose, but not like your traditional bourbon fruits that you might get like apples and bananas from other distilleries. This is more like berry-ish, more blackberries, raspberries, almost grapey in a way. Very unique, very different too. All right, Ben Holliday, I've seen it online, I've heard good things about it. We shall see. Hey, real quick, friends, 3 quick, easy favors. Number 1, hit the like button. Number 2, drop me a comment. Let me know what are your thoughts of all these different brands. Ben Holliday, Driftless Glenn, or Hard Truth if you've had them. Last but not least, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and also hit the bell so you get notification each and every time I release new content. Cool? All right. Ben Holliday, here we go. Cheers, everybody. Ooh. Oh, man. That's nice. That's sweet. Has like some notes of those berry notes are definitely there in the background, but it almost has like some baking spices in there too. I think that was what I was missing in the nose. Came through in the palate. There was some baking spices in there. That's definitely unique. All right, let me get a little bit more of this. I like this. This is definitely a slightly in a different lane, if you will. Very unique. So you might ask, Judge, what was the palate like? The palate and the finish on this one at 100 proof, very unique, very baking spices forward. Tons of like the berry notes in there as well. So you might ask, Judge, is this a buy, a do not buy, or leave it on the shelf? The verdict is in. This, to me, and me personally, is a buy. But I'm going to say this. This is a buy, but it's one where I would say if you can, try it in a bar. Because, try it in a bar first. Only for the fact of I actually like it a lot. But it's not your traditional type of a bourbon, right? Note. It has a ton of like baking spices in there. A ton of fruit. I like it for the standpoint of it's completely unique and different, but I don't know if everyone out there would definitely love this. So this is one where I would say it's a buy to me, but it's definitely one I would say you might want to try it first at a bar from a friend and so forth. It's very unique and very different, but I do like this a lot. That is different. That is definitely different. All right. Ben Holliday, another new brand. I like it. Like it a lot. All right. All right. Now we are going over to Hard Truth. Woo! This brand, everyone is going crazy over. I mean, absolutely crazy over Hard Truth. So they are based out of Nashville, Indiana. Yes, I said that correct. Nashville, Indiana. Nope, not Nashville, Tennessee. I had to double check that myself as well. There technically is a Nashville, Indiana. Never knew that. But they're based out of Nashville, Indiana. Again, up and coming craft distillery. They make primarily rye. They do make, obviously some bourbons, some other spirits as well. But primarily what they're known for, what everyone out in the whiskey world knows them by, is for their rye whiskey as a whole. And specifically, it's their sweet mash rye, which is technically a blend of 2 different ryes. Your traditional, like standard rye, but then your malted rye whiskey as well. So they're doing 2 different ryes. So you would think of a malted rye and a standard rye. You're probably getting like that sweetness from the malted rye with the spicy earthiness from the traditional rye, blending those together and making that I guess like that combined rye in the mash bill, if you will. So purely rye in the mash bill, but just 2 different ryes. And I've heard nothing, and I mean nothing but good things about Hard Truth. From a price standpoint, wow, this nose is very unique. From a price standpoint, a little bit more expensive. This one I've heard is anywhere from like $75 to even $85. Again, depending on where you live, where you find it and so forth. Like I can't find any of these, at least near me in Delaware. Maybe neighboring states, but not right in Delaware. But I've heard this one's about $75 to $85. No exact age statement on it. Ooh, the nose is interesting. The nose is not as peppery as I would have imagined. And that's probably because of the malted rye that's in there. That malted rye is definitely probably countering the spiciness from the traditional rye. So this one, from a nose standpoint, is a lot sweeter than you would expect from a rye whiskey. A lot more notes of like some caramel, a smidge of honey. Wow, caramel, honey, little peppery, but not much. The nose is quite more closer to like a bourbon than it is a rye, which is very unique. All right, hard truth. Oh, what's the proof on this one? Coming in at 115.3 proof. This is batch number 3. And this is coming again from my buddy Blake. Thanks again, Blake. I really do appreciate you sharing this with me, my friend. Thanks so much. All right, hard truth. A lot to live up to. Cheers, everybody. Oh, wow. Okay. Thinking of Denzel Washington when I did that Denzel impersonation. Okay. Wow, that's different. Let me get a little bit more. Oh yeah. That is, wow. Kind of like Driftless Glenn. Everything in the nose here matches the palate for sure. It's a good combination of it's like a sweet rye whiskey, which is so unique. You always think of rye whiskey as being very peppery, very minty, very floralish. To me, this is a great combination of like almost like caramel notes, like sweetness from the caramel, if you will, maybe from the oak from the barrel, caramel notes meets like that minty kind of pepper. It kind of meets in the middle. It truly was an exact identical match from the nose all the way to the palate to the finish. Nice long finish at 115 proof. Didn't knock you out, but very bold, very vibrant as a whole. Because I gotta finish this. Oh man. Wow. So the verdict is in. The verdict is the fact that I'm pouring more of this. To me, even at $80, a little bit more expensive, obviously, right? From I get it from an up-and-coming distillery, a little bit more expensive. I do get that. The verdict is in. This, I think, is damn good. This is really, really good. I mean, wow. I am honestly blown away with what these 3 different craft distilleries are putting out on the market this day and age. I liked all 3 of these in different ways. Like I said, I am honestly quite shocked how good this whiskey is. It just goes to show, folks, not everything that you try in the whiskey world always has to be Buffalo Trace or Heaven Hill. There are a ton of craft distilleries making quite a buzz and making some damn good whiskey. So good. I'm gonna have to work with at least the 3 of these, at least 1 or 2 of these, to get a single barrel for my patrons, because the whiskey is just that good. Hey friends, until the next time, peace, cheers, and most important, salute. Take care.